Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon us all. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, allow me to represent our research team from the Product Design Program at Telkom University. My name is Andrianto, joined by my colleagues Asep Sufyan Muhakik Atam Tajani, Chris Chalik, and Alvian Fajar Setiawan. Today, we are honored to present our study titled The Influence of Design, Ambient Factors, and Social Interaction in Food Truck Settings on Visitors' Perceptions. This research is part of our broader exploration into how spatial design, visual identity, and environmental elements shape user behavior, particularly within the rapidly growing food truck landscape in Indonesia. We hope that this presentation offers a clearer understanding of how design elements contribute to creating meaningful and effective user experiences in small-scale public environments such as food trucks. Food trucks have become an increasingly prominent urban phenomenon in major Indonesian cities. Their mobility, spatial efficiency, and relatively low operational cost make them an attractive business platform as well as a medium for visual and design creativity. In 2015, Jakarta recorded more than 70 food trucks, while Bandung operated around 62 units. These numbers continue to grow, intensifying competition among operators. What makes this phenomenon interesting is that many food trucks offer similar types of food. As a result, differentiation is no longer solely based on taste, but also on how the truck is presented, the atmosphere it creates, and how social interactions emerge around it. In other words, a food truck is not only about food, it is an experience. Consumer behavior theories indicate that 70 to 80% of initial decisions are influenced by visual stimuli, particularly color and form. Meanwhile, environmental psychology suggests that social and ambient factors also shape perception, though to varying degrees. However, despite the abundance of related theories, studies focusing specifically on food trucks as a design object remain limited in Indonesia. Existing research tends to emphasize operational aspects such as business strategy and licensing. This creates a gap. Without understanding visitors' perceptions, it becomes difficult for operators to construct effective design strategies. Our research aims to address this gap. This study has three primary objectives. 1. To identify the visual design elements of food trucks that most strongly influence visitor perception. 2. To analyze environmental factors such as cleanliness and ambient sound. 3. To evaluate the role of social interaction, including staff service quality and the presence of other visitors. Overall, we seek to answer one central question: which factors most strongly shape visitors' perceptions of food truck environments? To answer this question, we employed a multi-stage research approach. First, we conducted a literature review to establish a theoretical foundation, focusing on behavior-environment interaction, perceptual psychology, and retail design. We examined how form, color, lighting, cleanliness, and social interaction influence user perception in public service environments. Second, we carried out field observations at several food truck festivals in Bandung. We documented truck positioning, customer behavior, cleanliness conditions, and the acoustic characteristics of each environment. Third, we conducted structured interviews with food truck operators. These interviews examined policies regarding visual appearance, hygiene standards, permits, and service strategies. Finally, we distributed a questionnaire to 40 respondents, most of whom were university students aged 19 to 24. The data were analyzed using Microsoft Excel to identify the degree of influence for each variable. These findings were then cross-validated with environmental design theories to strengthen the interpretation. Let us begin with the findings. The first category examined was design variables, which include color and vehicle form. Our results indicate that visual appearance is the strongest factor influencing visitor perception. Regarding color, the data revealed that 63% of respondents strongly agree and 37% agree that the truck's color affects their perception of food quality and operator professionalism. In other words, 100% of respondents acknowledged the importance of color. None responded neutrally or negatively. Color is not merely an aesthetic choice. It serves as an identity marker, a signal of quality, and a trigger for perceived flavor. Colors also evoke emotions. Red and orange are often associated with appetite, while blue reflects cleanliness. Next, vehicle form also showed a notable influence. 50% of respondents agree, while the rest strongly agree that form plays a significant role in shaping their impression of professionalism. Unique, well-proportioned and accessible food truck forms create an immediate positive impression. Conversely, forms that appear cramped or outdated may reduce perceived quality, even if the food itself is excellent. Thus, from a design perspective, visual cues are the most powerful initial stimuli shaping visitor perception. The second variable concerns environmental factors. Among all environmental attributes, cleanliness emerged as the most dominant factor. 75% strongly agree and 25% agree that cleanliness significantly affects their perception. This means that cleanliness is a universal indicator of service and food quality. This aligns with established theories in facility design, which categorize cleanliness as a non-negotiable factor. On the other hand, ambient sound, such as music, crowd noise, or nearby traffic, showed the weakest influence. Most respondents stated that noise does not significantly impact their experience or perception. This is understandable, as food trucks typically operate in open public spaces where noise is expected. Visitors thus exhibit a higher tolerance for ambient sound in such settings. The third category encompasses social variables. We examine two main aspects: staff service quality and the presence of other customers. First, staff service quality had a moderate influence. Visitors value friendliness, responsiveness, and clarity during service interactions. However, its impact is not as strong as visual appearance or cleanliness. Second, the presence of other customers, such as queues or crowds, was the weakest social factor. Many respondents indicated that crowd size does not necessarily reflect food quality. This finding is interesting because in traditional restaurants, long queues are often perceived as a sign of popularity. However, in food truck settings, visitors prioritize efficiency and convenience. They prefer quick access rather than dense social interactions. When all data were compiled, three distinct levels of influence emerged. 1. Strongest factors: color and cleanliness. These two form the foundation of visitors' first impressions. 2. Moderate factors: vehicle form and staff service quality. 3. Weakest factors: ambient sound and presence of other customers. This suggests that visitors focus more on visual and functional aspects rather than ambient or social conditions. Like any research, this study has limitations. First, the sample consisted primarily of 40 university students aged 19 to 24, which restricts the generalizability of the findings to other demographics such as families, working adults, or older individuals. Second, this study relied mainly on Baker's framework, which, although robust, does not encompass the full range of possible perceptual factors. Therefore, future studies could include more diverse demographic groups, wahulu, incorporate additional theoretical frameworks such as environmental psychology, service-dominant logic, and experiential marketing, and explore additional variables such as lighting, aroma, branded music, or ergonomic layout. A broader approach would enhance the validity, richness, and interdisciplinary insight of research on mobile culinary design. In conclusion, this study highlights that visual design and cleanliness are the strongest determinants of visitors' perceptions of food trucks. These insights can serve as a valuable reference for mobile food entrepreneurs seeking to enhance their design strategies, service quality, and overall user experience. Thank you very much for your attention. We welcome any questions or further discussion regarding this research. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.